Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Positively Trek. It is the end of another month, which means we are talking comics. We are talking about the month's Star Trek comics from February 2026, which means, of course, I can't do that alone. There's just too many comics to read. With me, as always, is the wonderful Brandi Jackola. Brandi, how excited are you to tackle some Star Trek comics this month?
I am always happy and excited to tackle Star Trek comics. Just give me Star Trek and I'm happy, basically. I don't care what form it's in, just give me Star Trek.
Hear, hear. Yeah, I could not agree more. Absolutely. And we've got another full slate of comics this month. We have 4 issues. We have Star Trek Voyager Homecoming number 5, which is wrapping up that series. Star Trek Lower Decks number 16. Star Trek The Last Starship number 5, and Star Trek Deviations, Threads of Destiny, a one-shot comic that came out right at the end of the month here. So I guess let's jump right in with Star Trek Voyager Homecoming number 5, written by Susan and Tilly Bridges, with art by Angel Hernandez, and that came out on February 11th of this month. So first of all, I'll give you the synopsis for this issue. The conclusion we've all been waiting for. One last epic soaring moment with the crew of the Voyager awaits. Captain Janeway and her crew are prisoners of species 8472 on their organic, ever-changing ship, and the Voyager is similarly snared in its clutches. But not all is lost. Imprisoned with them are the rebel species 8472, who once posed as Starfleet members Boothby and Archer. Not that Archer. And they hold the secret to their escape. All that stands between them and their homecoming now is species 8472's revenge-bent captain, and the issue of how to open up a singularity into Earth's space. Interesting synopsis. I will note that they call it the Voyager twice, which they rarely did on the show. It was always Voyager. So interesting.
Yeah, which is weird because it's the Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Enterprise. It's the Discovery. It's it's not, all of these ships usually have a the preceding them, except Voyager, and I always thought that was weird.
Yeah, I think there just was some sort of like production decision at some point, because there's I think the second episode when they're stuck in that singularity, Tom Paris looks at the view screen and they clear up the image and he says, "It's us. It's the Voyager." And I think that's like the only time in the series.
Yep.
Like after that, they're like, "Nope, it's just Voyager." And then interestingly, when Enterprise came out after Voyager, they continued that on and they always just called it Enterprise in Enterprise, which was weird to me because it had always been the Enterprise. So,
yeah, I mean, it's a title, it is a title. So you should say but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. So they're bringing it back though with the blurb for this issue.
Yep.
So before we jump into this issue, an interesting thing happened where in the last comics episode that we did, we talked about how we were wondering if Admiral Paris had been species 8472 version of him, even in those scenes in Endgame that we saw him or not. And one of the authors of this comic reached out or commented on the YouTube video version and let us know that we would find out in this issue if that were the case or not. And find out we did. So yeah.
Oh man. Did not see that coming.
No, definitely not. And I just want to find the actual comment so I can give credit where it's due. So Tilly Bridges was the one who commented on the video. And she said, "You'll get the answer about Admiral Paris in issue 5 next week." So she posted that a couple weeks ago on the video. So that was very cool.
Yes. And Tilly, you have a fantastic name.
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic name for being a Star Trek writer. Perfection.
100%. Well, this is it. This is the conclusion to the miniseries. So let's jump right in. We still have Voyager, or the Voyager, however you want to say it, I guess, trapped in
Oh,
fluidic space, and captured. Much of the crew is captured alongside, as the blurb says, some of those imposter Starfleet officers that we met back in, I think it was season 4 of Voyager that that episode is in. Valerie Archer and Boothby and all of those folks. So that was interesting. That was an interesting little turn I wasn't quite expecting with this story.
agree. There were a lot of turns in this story that I'm just like, where are you going with this? And then they show me, and I'm like, oh, I should have seen that coming, but you're just too good.
Well, let's address what we were talking about with Admiral Paris. Turns out, yeah, he has been replaced, according to this comic, by Species 8472 for years. So basically, all of the times that we saw him in Voyager, he was a Species 8472. We never actually saw the real Admiral Paris. Again, according to the comic, which is non canon, but it definitely will give me something different to think about when I'm watching those episodes again.
Yeah, it fits in really well when you go back and actually think about it and look at it. And this species 8472 doppelganger is the one that spearheaded the whole project to get them home.
Mm-hmm.
What? Just
So Voyager owes its homecoming to Species 8472, basically.
yep, 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 yep.
I
It's
love that.
insane. I love it too. It's something that I just never thought about until this comic. And, because we've had imposters replacing people I mean, the Dominion Wars, all that stuff. But this I didn't expect. And I love getting surprised. It's really hard to surprise me. This comic surprised me. This
Mhm.
this particular issue surprised me in the best ways, but
Yeah.
mostly because Admiral Barris. Oh my, oh my god, oh my god! I just don't have words.
Wild. I applaud the bravery of that choice, honestly, and I applaud the folks at CBS Paramount and IDW like checking off on that choice and approving that. Like, all right. Like again, it's not canon. I think if you ask any of the writers of those episodes, that was supposed to be Admiral Paris, but interesting choice. I like it. Brave choice.
I don't know why this just suddenly came to me, and I know it will never happen, but wouldn't it be amazing if they did, you know, this whole comic in animation
Hmm.
and got all the voices back? Well, of course, Kate Mulgrew, she's good at still voicing Janeway,
Oh
etc.
yeah.
You could get all these people back and do their voices, and we could have a much better ending to the series than what we originally got.
Yeah, definitely. A more complete ending, which actually brings me to one of the things that I was starting to wonder after 4 issues of this story and coming into issue number 5 was this. It was kind of touted as Homecoming, right? Voyager's Homecoming. We'd get kind of that story that we never got where they actually get to Earth. And after issue 4, I was kind of going, are we actually though? Because they've kind of just stuck another big adventure in there and they never really, at least at that point, have not gotten to Earth yet. So like I was starting to wonder like, are we going to get all of those reunions, or is this just going to be pushing that a little further down the road, kicking that can down the road? But when we got to this issue, the actual resolution of the 8472 stuff, it's basically 3 or 4 pages. And well, maybe not 3 or 4, but like 5 or 6 pages to get through the 8472 stuff. And then it's all Homecoming back to Earth stuff, which was another interesting choice. They wrap up that story very quickly, and then it's the kind of what I was expecting story that they're telling here.
Yeah, well, I kind of expected the 8472 stuff to wrap up pretty quickly because there really wasn't much more you can do there.
Mm-hmm.
It's now time for Voyager to be able to somehow open a singularity and get back home. And that's not something that's going to take a long time. So that
Yeah,
actually didn't bother me. What I wanted was all those reunions. That's what we
exactly.
deserved in the original series. We deserved that. And we had to wait 30 plus years to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And the bravery of these two writers to actually do this, I love you. I love you for doing this. You have a reader for life. I don't care what you're doing. I will read your stuff. You've won me in one issue. You won me completely over.
Yeah.
I mean, the rest of the series is still great, but it's that final issue that really just put a beautiful bow on everything.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't want to come across like I agree.
Oh, I know, I
Like
know, I
I
know.
absolutely was okay with the 8472 stuff being wrapped up quickly, because yeah, these homecomings, basically checking the check boxes of stuff we wanted to see, right? We see Tom and B'Elanna introducing their daughter to the real Admiral Paris and all of that. We have B'Elanna and her father, kind of some making up of lost time there. Harry Kim and his parents, and Libby apparently is still in the picture. That's cool. Wasn't expecting that.
Good for her.
And can I say another huge box checked off for me that I'm just like slow clap to the writers
Mm-hmm.
is yeah, we've completely scuttled the relationship between Seven of Nine and Chakotay. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes. I when I was reading it, I might have cheered out loud. Okay, I actually did cheer out loud and pumped my fist in the air. That made me extremely happy.
Yeah. And I would have loved to have been there when they were coming up with the story and they're like, ooh, okay, we can bring back Valerie Archer because there were sparks between her and Chakotay and we'll keep her as a human. And, that'll be kind of a relationship that he can be pursuing that will take over from the Seven of Nine thing. And Seven of Nine, they introduced, of course, the Borg drone, or the former Borg drone, I guess, at this point, from the previous issue. There's sparks there. There's kind of a chemistry there, right? So, yeah, it wasn't just destroyed for the sake of destroying it, which I also would have been okay with. But
Mhm.
yeah, it gives them something meaningful and something real from Chakotay's past too, which was cool.
I was always still rooting for Chakotay and Janeway, and when we finally did get that in the books, it was so curtailed and made me so freaking angry.
Well, I think we get enough hints towards it in Prodigy that I'm like, you can read
Yeah,
it either way. So if you're a JC
yeah.
shipper, you can say, oh yeah, they're together. I
Yeah, that's what I do in my head canon.
I also didn't mention Tuvok reuniting with his family and meeting his granddaughter. Beautiful little moment. That was really cool. And of course, his life being saved via the mind meld with a family member. That's resolved, which we knew it would be, but it was nice to see it play out.
And I like that it was his wife that did it for him because that's how it should be, really. She's the
Mm-hmm.
closest person to him.
One other thing that happens in this comic, which is interesting, is we get a visit from Dr. Pulaski, which is
I know.
which is not the only comic this month in which that'll
Nope,
happen, which is
nope, it sure
weird.
isn't. Yeah, I this was about the time where I started writing stuff down like Hugh, Dr.
Yeah.
Pulaski, Dr. Aaron.
Oh yeah, Dr. Aaron McDonald as well. That was wonderful. That was a great little
Yep,
cameo for sure.
yep.
Um,
I recognized her immediately.
yeah, definitely. The Dr. Pulaski thing, it's like, I know it's a cliche at this point, but if I had a nickel for every time Dr. Pulaski showed up in a random comic this month, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Yeah, it's you don't see that coming. You don't see
No.
any Pulaski reference coming, but this especially is just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that Janeway gets reunited with her dog, with Molly.
Yes, with Molly.
That was
Such a sweet
wonderful.
girl. Must have missed her something fierce.
Yeah, and the little tribute, the statue that really actually exists, being erected after they established contact with Voyager, the Janeway statue, that was wonderful. That was really cool.
That made me very happy. It was just the writing has been so good through this series, but this final issue is just really something special for me because it's not something I thought would actually go the way I wanted it to.
Yeah.
And I mean, we know what canon is on screen, but and so we have more canon in Prodigy, but that's beside the point. It's just I felt like I could finally just take a breath and go, yes, this is the way that the series should have ended. This is what we deserved. This is what we should have had. And if this is how we're going to get it by this comic, then I am all for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really enjoyed seeing all of these reunions. That was really the meat of this for me. The fanboy in me, also just seeing the crew in the new uniforms, made me happy. That was cool. And then the dress uniforms at the end, that was great too.
Just so many great moments that people might not appreciate as much as they could, because these meant things to us. This meant something to us. And when all we got was, hey, we're home, and that was it, it just felt like the rug had been ripped out from under us.
Mm-hmm.
And so for these two writers to give us this closure and to give us what we should have had, I never expected it. I did not expect it from this comic. I didn't know these writers before. Like I said, you've earned a fan for life now. So I can't wait to see what they do next, frankly.
Perfect. Yeah, I couldn't put that better myself. Absolutely. I'm going to be keeping an eye out for these writers' names to pop up, because I really enjoyed this. They understood the assignment, right? They did what the Voyager finale didn't. Like, yeah, it's cool, the story about the Borg and fighting the Borg Queen and all of that, but like, we want to get past that and see the reunions. And they understood that with this comic. The 8472 story was interesting, it was cool, but let's get past that. Let's get on to them getting home. We want to see the culmination of their journey. Harry Kim said, maybe it's not the destination that matters, maybe it's the journey. Sometimes it's the destination that matters. Sorry, I kind of want to see that.
Well, it's not always the destination, but sometimes, sometimes the destination is definitely the journey.
Absolutely. Well, final thoughts, rating for Voyager Homecoming #5, and I guess the series as a whole as well.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this series. I loved seeing more of Species 8472, and I feel like the 8472 could be less aggressive, but they've got this ruler that's this captain that is just absolutely hell-bent on revenge and perceived harms. And it's just, wow, dude, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Everything that you're doing, it's not worth it, and you're targeting the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I really enjoyed this entire series. I was invested and interested in what was going to happen. And again, the ending of it could not have been better, I don't think. So I will give this, let's see here. I will give this one, we're morally obligated to help.
Ooh, I like that. That's a great rating. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. The reunions were what sold me. We haven't mentioned also Chakotay's brother, right?
Right.
Who he knew as his sister when he had left the Alpha Quadrant, but is now his brother. That was a lovely moment. I really appreciate that visibility there. And Seven of Nine connecting with someone who maybe has a deeper understanding of where she's coming from and what her past is. I think that's very meaningful as well. So I want to acknowledge that. I think that was a really good choice. And I'm going to give this comic one set of parents who are incensed that their son is still an ensign after 7 years.
Seriously, though, that's BS.
100%.
I don't care about command structures. Harry should be like lieutenant commander by now.
No. And I love that his mom's going to like call Janeway and be like, what the hell?
Yeah, absolutely. And he should just get promoted. You know, that would actually be the only cherry on top that I would be okay with them putting in there. Is, oh, and by the way, sorry about not raising your rank. You're now a lieutenant commander.
Right? Yeah. Well, from there, let's move on to our next issue, which also came out on February 11th. We have Star Trek Lower Decks number 16, written by Tim Sheridan, with art by Vernon Smith, continuing the storyline from the last few issues. Just as the case of the missing Leperians was about to come together, the Cerritos was heavily damaged in a dogfight against an unidentified vessel and forced to return to Federation space without the away team. Repairs on the Cerritos are bound to take weeks, but Captain Freeman and Mariner aren't about to sit around and wait when they have an abandoned away team to rescue, especially one under Boimler's command. Together, they formulate a heist to steal a decommissioned starship and mount a daring rescue before their unknown assailants blast Lapunia and their crew members away.
Dun dun dun.
So this was an interesting choice for the story. We spend some time apart from a number of our crew members who are presumed missing / killed, but we don't know. And we spend the time with the crew of the Cerritos and Captain Freeman trying to convince her superiors to let her go try and rescue her away team, which I found this an interesting take for this story. This is the one time I've appreciated the slower pace of this multi-part story, basically.
Yeah, I agree. At first, I was just kind of like, okay, now remind me what happened. Oh, yeah. And my personal feeling, I'm just going to call this right now because we don't know the fate of Boimler and the rest of the away team. I'm going to say that wherever they are is where the Leperians are.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know where that is, and I don't know why that is.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like. So yeah, I'm like, okay, so we're doing a heist. Right. How's this going to go? And luckily, they're in a shipyard of dead ships.
Mm-hmm.
How convenient. And oh my goodness, there's one that's still working.
Of course. The USS Illinois, which is, of course, Captain Freeman's one of her former assignments, basically. So she's familiar with it. I do like a lot of the little callbacks to Star Trek that Lower Decks is known for. In Star Trek 3, right, when they're going to try and go back to Genesis to save Spock, and they're told no. The word is no. We are therefore going anyway. They change it up here. Captain Freeman says the word is no, and then Mariner says, but okay, but like unofficially, we're still going after them, right? To which she replies, duh.
Yeah, I love that. There's some really interesting stuff in this. Because they're of course going for this supposedly dead away team, and everybody keeps saying they're dead.
Mm.
And that's the thing is that you don't know that. I'm not convinced that someone is dead until you see the body and someone does an autopsy on that body, and that's when I'll believe that they're dead.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
A little
they,
comm badge floating in space ain't gonna do it for me.
yeah, no, it ain't gonna do it for me either. And so, um, is it's is it Shax and Rutherford who go after the Klingon laxatives?
Yes. Or Shax and Ta'ana are wheeling it in, yeah.
Oh, it's Shax and Ta'ana, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember all the people who were doing what, but yeah. And I thought that has to be a terrible idea. It wasn't. It
Apparently
didn't work the way
not.
it was supposed. They thought it was going to. It's like, oh no, they feel great. They want more.
Yeah, they're very excited to makes me wonder what they've been eating on this starbase that like they need this stuff.
Dry coffee. Coffee is very good at helping with those things. But hey, now you got Klingon laxatives. So I'm sure that they were doing that to incapacitate everyone, and it did not work. And
Mhm.
that actually made me laugh out loud when I read that and saw all the people behind him like, yeah, more. Cracked me the hell up. And yeah, and this is where we get another Pulaski sighting because she's married. Oh my God, that was so funny because she's apparently been married several times now.
Mhm.
Which, I mean, they don't do Pulaski any favors with this portrayal by any means.
No.
They
Are we
really
gonna be
don't.
calling her Squiggly Bits from now on? Is that gonna stick, do you think?
Oh, in my mind and heart, she'll be Squiggly Bits from now until the day I die.
I kind of wish the comics were canon because I would go to
Mhm.
Memory Alpha and edit it to say, Dr. Catherine Pulaski, aka Squiggly Bits, or something
Mhm.
like that. It just somewhere, and then reference this comic. But
Yeah, and all of Freeman's muttering under her breath, just
Squiggly Bits.
dissing Pulaski. Yeah, she's the new wife of Admiral Inman, who is the one that I think he was the one who had the Illinois after her. I can't remember,
Mhm.
and I just read this like a few hours ago again. So, but yeah, but my favorite thing about this entire issue, you know what I'm gonna say, all the Normans.
Yes, I had a feeling that was where you were going with that.
Especially the one Norman who's in S&M gear.
Yes.
And Rutherford saying that they got one, he and Boimler got one, and they're saying, well, why would you get a male? Oh, we didn't have a preference. Who are they having that Norman do?
The one joke that I thought was I still appreciated it, even though it was ridiculous, was the Admiral has to read the wine list out loud.
Yes. That made me laugh.
Okay, fine. Let's see. Andorian Merlot, California Chardonnay, computer transfer all command codes to Captain Carol Freeman Shiraz, Klingon blood wine. Pulaski, what
Hey,
was that last one? It was
I
Klingon
like
blood
it.
wine. Anyway.
Yeah, I like a good Shiraz. That sounds like a good idea. Wonder what
Oh,
vineyard that one's from.
that was clever. I liked that. It was cute.
It was cute. It was very much Lower Decks. It's
Hmm.
this issue feels like a Lower Decks episode to me.
Yeah.
And I haven't felt like that for some of the series. Um, and this kind of turned me back onto okay, yeah, they know their audience, they know what we're looking for, and they're giving it to us. And I love the one Normans that says that he's programmed to manhandle anything.
I also love that they pull the same thing that they did in the Enterprise episode In a Mirror Darkly, where
Mm-hmm.
none of them were wearing uniforms when they came on board. So they had to just grab the uniforms that were aboard the ship. So we get most of the crew wearing like the early TNG uniforms, which like at first I was like kind of inexplicable. And then I realized, oh, they did the thing where like, oh, they just had to wear what they had there. So we get to Anna in the scant uniform. But not only that, we get Shax in the scant uniform, which is the best.
I didn't know that seeing Shax in a scant was going to be on my list of things I'd love about Lower Decks,
Mm-hmm.
whether comics or series, and now I can't unsee it, and that's not a complaint. It's just like I'll forever be thinking of Shax in a scant because he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He's not going to feel embarrassed. He's Shax. He's got nothing to worry about. And if anyone says anything about his scant, then he'll probably blow him out the airlock.
Absolutely. Well, so the issue ends with them hijacking the Illinois with the help of the crew of Normans, basically. So they're going to charge back to Lapunia, and we get the next time on Lower Decks with random scenes from various episodes, including a few things with our Lower Decks crew. But we've also got Grand Nagus Zek. We've got Riker and Data during the Measure of a Man, and we've got Anarax captaining the time ship. Kurtwood Smith's character from Voyager randomly.
I know. I actually have that character in the Star Trek Timelines
Oh,
mobile game,
nice.
and his protege, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head, but anyway, yeah.
Oh,
And Kurtwood Smith, how many different characters has he played in Star Trek now? Like 3,
I think
4?
3. Yeah, the Federation president in Star Trek 6, Anarax in Year of Hell, and Thrax, the Cardassian Odo's predecessor on Terok Nor.
Right,
I,
right.
I think. Oh, and if you can, Lower Decks as well. 4. You're right. He played the guy in, oh shoot, the episode with the Horn of Truth. You have to say the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. The party for the command crew that didn't seem like a party. Looked like a trial.
Oh, I love that episode. I think that was my favorite first season episode.
Yep, I think so too. I feel the same way. And the eels. And of course that gave us that great T'Ana, not T'Ana, great Tendi moment. Yes, that's correct.
Absolutely. Well, so my final thoughts on this issue, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a return to form personally. The jokes, I think the slower pace really helped it. The jokes were a little bit more, in my mind, thought out, and the payoff was better in this. It didn't feel like we were just treading water and cramming in a lot of jokes and moving the plot forward just a tiny little bit for once. It felt like, oh, the plot moved quite a bit in this, and there were jokes along the way, and we're in a fundamentally different position by the last page than we were on the first page, which I haven't felt that in the last few issues of this storyline. So this was appreciated. I really liked it. And I'm going to give it another surprise Pulaski.
I too felt this was a return to form. It felt like Lower Decks more than some of the previous issues had. And I laughed out loud, which is always a good sign. But then I have a very obnoxious laugh, so you can hear me coming a mile away. I can't laugh daintily. Never been able to do that. So there was a lot of funny noises coming from here when I was actually reading those. And since Dave was in the other room, he had headphones on, so he had no idea I was dying in here with this episode. I think that it was very well done. I love a heist. And I love a reference to mud androids. That made me happy. And just the idea that they just will not give up on their kids that are seemingly dead. But again, I say, wherever they are is where the Lepurians are. But I don't know where that is yet. And so I will give this one Tholian security guard. Because there was a Tholian security guard.
I like it.
And that is not the only time we'll have a Tholian reference in these comics this month.
That is true. There's a thread running through all these comics, and they drop one and the next one picks it up. That's interesting.
It's insane. Love it.
Awesome. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will jump into the final 2 issues that came out in February. As always, Positively Trek is brought to you by its Patreon supporters, including Joyce Mirren, Brandi Jackola, Christina DeClercq-Zalagi, John Guppy, Out of Memory, Patrick Carlin, and Ricky Long. If you'd like to support the podcast, visit patreon.com/positivelytrek. You can join at any level and enjoy early access to episodes, ad-free episodes, episode shoutouts, executive producer credits, and more. Again, that's patreon.com/positivelytrek. Thank you so much to those of you supporting us. We truly do appreciate it. And now, back to the show. So on February 18th, we had Star Trek The Last Starship number 5 come out, continuing that story, written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, with art by Adrian Bonilla. The Federation's delegates have gathered. Delegates?
Leave it in!
Just a bunch of lingerie hanging on the line with com badge on it.
Well, you cannot put those in a washing machine. It'll just tear them up, man. You gotta put them on the line.
Oh, take 2. The Federation's delegates have gathered. The Babel Conference is on. Together, they aim to save Starfleet and bring peace to all quadrants. But while Captain Sato and the crew of the USS Omega have only experienced the passage of time as 4 months within their transwarp bubble, for the rest of the galaxy, it's been 23 years. For 23 years, the delegates have been left to their own devices, to stew in their own machinations, and to make new allegiances. And while the USS Omega may have brought them all together, the burn has forced them apart. Not all want to broker peace, and someone who was once closest to Starfleet may become its greatest adversary. Spoiler alert, they do.
Yeah, they totally do.
All right. So, issue number 5 of this series, they're doing 3-issue arcs. So we're in the middle of the second arc here. And yeah, they've made it to Babel. They're gathering all these delegates. They're going to have this conference to determine what the future of the Federation is. And of course, Captain Sato is the wide-eyed idealist and is wanting to preserve the Federation. And I don't think he sees that others wouldn't have that same goal. He's going in with the assumption that everyone here wants that to happen, right? And I think that really blinds him to what's going on.
I agree. And I think he's not remembering that these people have been dealing with this for 23 years while his ship's been in a warp bubble. And so he's not understanding that that is a very long time for people to try and figure out how they're going to live after the burn. And how they're going to get around, how they're going to survive. And when they start listing all of the problems in the conference, that becomes very apparent that Sato is ill-equipped to do any of this, you know? And okay, so I'm sorry I'm going to bring this in, but I have to because it's something that has stuck with me since the 80s. There's this weird movie that is absolutely horrible, but I love it to pieces called Megaforce, all right? And the bad guy in Megaforce, he's actually friends with the good guy, and they've known each other for a long time. And they had a falling out because the bad guy stole the good guy's lighter. And That was the thing that broke them. But the bad guy is saying, you're an idealist. In the 80s, in the 70s, we could be idealists. In the 80s, it's too expensive. And that's what's happening here. It's too expensive to be an idealist, but Sato hasn't figured that out yet. He's looking at people that he thinks are his allies, but they're not anymore. He hasn't seen them in 23 years. They haven't seen him in 23 years. And I just thought, how do you think this is going to go, dude? And so I was not surprised at how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. Well, visually, this is really interesting. This kind of setup they have here, these rings that are surrounding each other with the various members of the Federation kind of discussing this here. I feel like if I was on the top of the ring, having to like look up to see the person, I don't know in practice how this would work. I would feel queasy, I think. I don't know. It looks cool.
I would absolutely feel, it looks cool, but I would absolutely feel queasy because which way is up? I feel like I'm the right side up, but now there's this person who's looking sideways at me. I don't just have their sideways. Are they, what way is up? It's a weird gravitational thing, and I did not like it, frankly. I thought it was weird, and I thought it was not effective, in my personal opinion.
Well, the Vulcans seem to think that's how it should be, I guess. But I don't know.
That's illogical. Illogical. But what do I know?
So this conference isn't going well. It doesn't start out very well with, Sato making an appeal for what he thinks will be like an easy thing for everyone to agree on. And right off the bat, no, nobody's agreeing on anything. There's discord. The fact that the Borg cooperative is there is a big stumbling block. People don't trust the Borg, even though this is, Agnes Gerati's Borg, who have presumably been a part of the Federation since the 25th century. Yeah, it's not going well.
It's not, and it's not surprising. I mean, some of the things that people are saying, like on Ferenginar, 70% of the population is now unhoused.
Yeah.
And just all of these things that all these different worlds are saying are happening just guts me. Because and to think that this is all the work of one scared little kid.
Mm-hmm.
That had abilities beyond what anyone knew. And they won't know that for a century or so.
Yeah.
I can't blame all of these people for wanting what they want, but the fact of the matter is that there's not enough to go around.
Well, we learned that there are some ideas floating around out there for a different type of organization that will come together. And this is something that at the very beginning of the issue, when Captain Sato is meeting with his friend, the Orion delegate, like we knew something was up there, right? Like the way she was talking, you really still believe. And Sato kind of clocks something, but still I don't think is ready to embrace the idea that other people don't.
Agree. I agree with that. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where I'm just like, because it's obvious that he probably was expecting to see his friend as she was, but obviously, he logically knows that isn't possible. But I think it still rattles him a little when he sees her, 23 years older.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there, that was a big, what do you want to say, green flag? A big fat green emerald flag. Emerald green flag. And I thought, ooh, I think I know what might be happening. I will say I did notice some of the names that were on the list as people who were going to speak, representatives of their worlds.
Yeah.
And Bright Eyes from Tholia. Oh my God.
That was cool. I appreciated that.
So cool. How long do Tholians live?
Apparently quite a while.
That's insane. That's insane, because when we met Bright Eyes, that was on the original Kirk Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me very happy. In Ikuna's Dax.
Yes.
Oh, hell yes. Dax is definitely living beyond their original projection of life. So I'm guessing they must really be well cared for in
Mm-hmm.
all of their hosts.
Yeah, and we know like 120 years hence, she'll still be kicking around, or
Yep.
they'll still be kicking around as a she in that case,
Mm-hmm.
I guess. Yeah. Well, it seems that some of the delegates are up to something. They have ideas of how they want to go, spearheaded by the Orions. And since it's spearheaded by the Orion delegate, I saw this coming, but it's still a really cool moment when she, makes her speech in front of the group, right? She says that a new time demands a new kind of governance. Together, link by link, we can grow stronger. Not in one grand moralizing echo chamber, but as independent worlds linked by self-interest, side by side. Not a government, but an opportunity. For security, for prosperity, for independence. Let us gleam across the cosmos. An emerald chain. Yeah, Captain Sato is like, what the hell are you doing? He was expecting her to give this rousing speech that would bring everyone together, and she kind of does, but not the way he wanted.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. It's like, if it had been, 20 years ago, maybe his idealistic speech would have been taken differently. But it's too late for that.
Mm-hmm.
And people have to survive. People are dying. People are dying. Planets are dying. And something has to be done. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it's going to happen through the Federation,
Yeah.
because they don't have the resources.
Well, it looks like this has been in the works for a while. Like several of the ships are hoarding dilithium, they discover, and the ship that shows up at the end looks an awful lot like the Emerald Chain flagship we see in Discovery, right? So,
Osira, oh.
yeah.
It's probably not Osira at that time. I don't think she's
No,
that old.
I don't think so, no. But yeah, this is the beginnings of the organization that she will be a part of, though. So yeah. Oh dear. Yeah. What are your overall thoughts on this issue? I know we've kind of blasted through it, but I think we hit a lot of the high notes. I really, really enjoyed this.
I did too, and I think it's the way the story needed to go, because they're filling in the blanks of what happened between the burn and Discovery reuniting everybody, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I like that, actually. I like finding out how this started, the Emerald Chain started, why people were so hard pressed to do something about it in a way that didn't fit with Federation ideals, because Federation ideals aren't enough for this time period. Everybody needs something, and nobody has enough. So they did what was best for most of them, and basically just left the Federation behind. And I honestly can't blame them for that. Considering what they've been through, and considering what may be coming, they're so completely fractured and cut off from so many things, that you do what you have to do to stay alive, to keep yourself fed, to keep your family alive, to just keep going. And the Federation can't do that for them now. So it made perfect sense to me why this happened. Do I like that? No, of course I don't. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and that's what they did. It's frustrating, but I feel so bad for Sato, because he's just so totally blindsided when we, as the audience, see it coming a mile away. But he's an idealist, and he doesn't understand how much the galaxy has changed.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like the way you put that. Like, I guess some of the methods are a little underhanded. I mean, we've got
Oh
the
yeah.
Ferengi leader blackmailing the Doctor by capturing his daughter, I guess.
Granddaughter.
Yeah, granddaughter. So I mean, yeah, not obviously not pure as the driven snow here or anything like
Oh
that.
no, no, no. I never alluded that they were.
No, but like you said, I cannot blame them for taking a different direction. These are desperate people, desperate times. As you said, the situation on Ferenginar is just one example, right? So um, that's what I love about this storytelling is it's layered and it's nuanced. It's not just
Hmm.
black and white, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, this is a time in history, the history of Star Trek, where there can't be black and white.
Mhm.
There's nothing but a bunch of different colors, and a lot of them are green.
Yeah. Well, do you have final thoughts on a rating for the Last Starship number 5?
Yeah, we didn't really get much Kirk in here.
No, there's kind of that one scene between him and Wowie in the
Yeah,
bar, but yeah.
there just wasn't that much, and that's okay. That's okay. It's not really about him anyway. I mean, it really this is Sato's journey and his ship's journey, and and Queen Agnes's journey.
Mhm.
I love that she's listed on the list of delegates as Queen Agnes Girardi. So this was an interesting and very important issue, and changes the entire tone of what's going to happen next, because there's nothing now that Sato can do. He
Mhm.
cannot stop this. He cannot change it. What's he going to, where's he going to go from here? What's he going to do? I don't know. I don't know. The canvas is blank right now, and I'm very excited to find out which direction he will take, or if
Yeah.
he takes any direction at all. I don't know. So I actually like that. This entire series has just been really layered and interesting, well done. There hasn't been a single issue where I've went,
Mhm.
not a single one. I really enjoyed everything, because I like it when they fill in the blanks, especially when, Discovery jumps like 920 years into the future. And I want to know all the stuff that's happened in between. I mean, some of it we get with, TNG and Voyager and Deep Space Nine, but there's a lot there that hasn't been covered in comics and hasn't been covered on screen. And I love that this is the story that they're telling now, because it's something that I've been really interested in since season 3 of Discovery. So I will give this one accept the future or burn.
Ooh, that's good. I like that. Yeah, I really enjoyed this issue as I have enjoyed almost all of the issues that have made up this story so far. I think, like you said, they're telling a really interesting, really important story here. I'm so glad we still have Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing writing for Star Trek. And if this is the stuff they're putting out, if this is the thoughtful, nuanced, fascinating stories they're putting out there, more please. This is so
Yes.
good. I should also say the conversation in the bar was Kirk and Sato, not Wowie. That was my bad. Before someone writes in, but but yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I thought this was just an incredible continuation, and like you, I'm so curious as to what is next. What's going to happen now? We've got an emerald chain ship bearing down on this planet, and half the delegates seem to be siding with them. What kind of showdown is going to happen here? What's going to happen exactly? um I don't know, like, this story could go so many places. Like, we could see what drives the Federation to sequester itself on a station in a little hidden bubble of space, and like that's all that's left. What's going to happen, right? So I love it. I'm going to give it one really confusing gyroscopic arena that beggars understanding as far as how that works.
Agree.
But it's a good rating,
Agree.
I swear.
I believe you. Yes.
All right, well, let's go to the final issue that came out in February, a one shot Star Trek Deviations, Threads of Destiny, written by Stephanie Williams, with art by Greg Maldonado and Anthony Fowler Jr., and that came out on February 25th. So right at the end of the month here, we've just managed to squeeze it in to be able to talk about in this episode. So here's the description. This special one-shot features Lieutenant Nyota Uhura. In the 23rd century, she explores far-flung star systems with her crew on the Enterprise as part of her mission to communicate and build bridges with life found across the galaxy. But in the 20th century, humankind was working to build understanding among themselves, with African Americans on Earth championing the civil rights movement and using their voices and acts of protest to end racial segregation and discrimination. Now, by way of the Guardian of Forever, Uhura is yanked back through time to 1963. There, she'll join all those fighting for equality and justice and reconnect to why her work as a communications officer is perhaps the most important work of all. A really interesting one shot. I was really excited when they announced this. I love the concept behind this issue. When we got it and I opened it for the first time, kind of a really retro look to it too, which I wasn't expecting. I really enjoyed that kind of old school, almost 1960s feeling comic look to it as well.
Agree. And honestly, I didn't read the blurb. I don't read the blurbs because I know you're going to read them on here, but I like to go into it without knowing. I don't want to know a lot about it. And so when it started and I'm like, wait a minute, that's a connection to Discovery. Because, that's the first time we see Carl. And apparently he's been Carl for a long time.
Yeah.
But, and all of these different, basically it looks almost like a hall of mirrors, but it's a hall of screens, gateways, really. And I'm just like, ooh, yep, well, that explains how they're getting into the past. But I just love how Carl looks dressed for the time period they're going into.
Yeah.
I think that's cute.
I had wondered about the appearance of the Guardian of Forever, and I have a possible, and this is not any kind of, I don't know this for a fact, this is why, or anything like that. This is just supposition on my part. But I know in the past, there had been issues with Harlan Ellison and the use of the Guardian of Forever, and specifically its appearance. I remember, apparently there was some hullabaloo over the Hallmark ornament, him kind of suing for rights for that. And now, of course, he has passed away, but there is still the Harlan Ellison estate. And I wonder if there was something they just kind of wanted to avoid that whole thing, because we don't see anything that looks like the traditional donut of the Guardian of Forever that we see previously, right? I wonder if they were just kind of sidestepping that whole thing, because nowhere in the body of the comic do they say the Guardian of Forever other than in the little blurb, right? So I was just a little curious, wondering on my part, and I was like, oh, I wonder if they were just let's avoid that issue.
Yeah, well, see, and that's the thing. It's like Carl isn't a creation of Harlan Ellison.
Nope.
And Carl having in Discovery, having the Guardian of Forever gate be a door, that's not Harlan Ellison's creation either. So they're not really breaking any rules there. But I like this idea that he just, or it, I don't know, he goes by Carl, so I'm just going to keep calling him a he, just changes his appearance and changes the appearance of the gate to fit the circumstances, or just for fun, or I don't know, but I love seeing Carl again, and I really actually like this hallway of screens. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, it looks cool for sure. So yeah, the conceit of this story basically is this is probably around the same time as the City on the Edge of Forever episode, but because it's Star Trek Deviations, it's like their version of Marvel's What If, right? So things go differently. The away team just beams down. They're not chasing a drug-addled McCoy into the past. They're just investigating. That accident didn't happen. And while they're investigating, there's like seismic activity, and Uhura falls through the portal and ends up lost in the past. And as in the original episode, Kirk and Spock go after her to find her, but they end up in a very different time. So it was the 30s in the City on the Edge of Forever, but here she ends up, as the blurb said, during the height of the civil rights movement in the 1960s, which is a very, of course, personal story for the character of Uhura. And of course, as we know, also the actor who is living through that time period while making Star Trek, Nichelle Nichols, right? And there's some interesting little touchstones of Nichelle's story that she's told over the years that kind of happen here for Uhura later on in the story.
Yeah, and I love that. I honestly love that. I feel like this should have come out at the beginning of the month. I just feel like, it comes out on it came out on February 25th, and that's practically the end of the month. And February, among other things, is Black History Month. So this is, I think, a great way to celebrate it through the lens of Star Trek. And especially to hear these names that are actual people in history, and see the people who show up in the issue, and just, I really appreciated it. And I feel like it should have had a whole month. It should have come out earlier in the month. Like February 1st, it should have come out. But that's just me.
No, that's fair. Absolutely. But yeah, I love the celebrating of these figures of history, absolutely, as well. And like, let's be honest, very recent history, right? And it's incredibly powerful and moving. And I of course, I don't come from that background. I can't speak to that experience, but it's very, and also as someone who's not from the United States as well, it's very educational for me. Like we hear Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. all the time. We hear, but some of these other figures don't get as much airtime. And, it did prompt me to look up some of the names that are mentioned in the story, right? And learn a little bit more. And I think that's important. I think that was really educational for me and really welcome.
And one of the people named, of course, was John Lewis, who I remember. He died not that long ago. And actually, I was devastated when I heard that he had passed away, because he was one of those people that kept doing everything he was doing in the 60s, he kept doing throughout his life. He never once backed down. He never once stepped away. He was always championing getting rid of discrimination. And I can't understand why in this day and age that this crap still persists. I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. We are all the same. It doesn't matter what the outside looks like. We all bleed. We all cry. We all eat. We all die. We're all the same. Excluding people simply because of their appearance is so juvenile and wrong. And I am just so freaking sick of it. And just in reading this issue, I had all these things in mind, and just watching it through Uhura's eyes, looking at it through her eyes, because she didn't go through it, but now she's actually, boots on the ground, literally, when she gets there, and actually experiencing some of these things. Meets Dr. Martin Luther King. And I appreciate that they put his visage in this comic.
Yeah.
And I appreciate also that they name Ella Baker.
Absolutely.
Who isn't a name that a lot of people know. I knew. I knew about her, but a lot of people, even in this country, do not know her name.
Mm-hmm.
And she worked tirelessly. Just absolutely. I mean, everyone who worked tirelessly just so they could do the same things that white people just could do without thinking.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we're still having that problem in this country.
Yeah. And in a lot of ways, backsliding
Mm-hmm.
a great
Oh,
deal. And I mean, we
backsliding for sure.
progress had been made, but not enough progress. And even that is getting eaten into now. And
Yep.
it's really distressing. Ella Baker was a name I had heard before, but like didn't know a lot about. And this really made me look her up and learn a lot about her. So I really appreciate that. And, these are names that should be more well known and should be talked about more. And so leave it to Star Trek, right? Star Trek is
Mm-hmm.
such a great venue for lessons. And Star Trek is always about lessons about today and our history, regardless of the fact that it's set in the future. So, yeah, carrying on the grand tradition. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I wasn't sure what to expect, but when I realized what was going on and that she was going to get thrown into the past, I was all in. I was ready. I wanted to read this. I wanted to see behind the scenes, so to speak, because there's so much that just hasn't been documented because white people, right?
Yeah.
Just and I'm white, but I was raised with the belief that everybody is the same, that no one should be above anyone else, and that we can all just get along. But
Yeah.
there are people who just don't want that. They want to be special somehow, and they are unfortunately the ones who are continuing this degradation of the work that has been done.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating, and I'm sure that there were more than a few of those people who read this issue of the comic and was not happy about it. Well, I'm sorry to say it's history, and it
Mhm.
happened. So, I don't know why people can't just realize that we're all people. We're all people.
Yeah. It's disgusting that this is still a
A
question.
thing.
And
Yeah.
like it blows my mind.
Same.
But thank you so much to the writer of this issue, Stephanie Williams, for writing this comic. So welcome, so loved. I think this was a really great experience to read this. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and kind of paralleling Dr. Martin Luther King meeting Nichelle Nichols with him meeting Lieutenant Uhura
Yep.
in this
Mm-hmm.
was just really cool as well. So,
Really
oh
was.
man. My final thoughts. I have nothing but great things to say about this comic. I really appreciated it and think it's very important. And I really hope that like even just a few people that maybe think in those ways that we're fighting so hard against will maybe through their love of Star Trek or something come away from this and go, maybe I need to question some of those things and start looking up these names and start learning about this and maybe coming around to having some humanity in your heart for your fellow person, right? Like I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how else to put it when the message of this is everyone is people, and I don't know how you logically argue against that, and I don't get it. I don't understand it, which I maybe that's a good thing. I don't understand that, but like I wish more people didn't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
um, so yeah, I'm going to give this one very welcome appearance of Carl in his big grin.
agree. I don't really have much to add to what you said, but I will close by saying a few more names that
Mhm.
people may not know, which are Roy Wilkins, Whitney Young. We already talked about Ella Baker, and of course, Dr. Martin Luther King and John Lewis. If you don't know who these people are, look them up.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The internet is has all of this information, so use it and find out more, because we need to stop tearing each other down.
Hmm.
That's all there is to it. We're not going to survive as a species if we continue to divide people.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this one fictional theater troupe.
Ooh, I like that. I liked that that was her cover story too. That was clever. That was good.
It was very clever. Thinking on her feet, Uhura.
Oh, that's why you're dressed like that. Okay. Love it. All right. Well, that's all of the issues from this month. For the first month in a while now, I don't know the answer to this question. And I actually had to think on my answer to this question for quite a while. Which one was your favorite issue this month of the four that we talked about? I'm curious because I don't actually know for sure what your answer will be.
For me, there's really only one answer, and that is the one shot.
Mm, yeah.
That is the one that is my favorite, because it is the one that is most applicable to the time we are living in right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a message, it's a story that people need to read and remember all of these things that happened, and to stop backsliding back into those things.
Yeah, absolutely. So my all four of these issues were good this month for sure.
Mhm.
And I could only really do this by kind of going through them and thinking about it. And I think like Voyager Homecoming #5, The Last Starship #5, and Threads of Destiny. So those three issues are all kind of at the top for me. And for very different reasons for each of them. I really liked them. Threads of Destiny, obviously a very important message, very applicable to the times. Just a great story. The Last Starship #5, just continuing the excellence of that story. It's been so good and it continues to be really compelling. And every month I'm like, oh, what is next month going to bring? For me, I'm going to hand it to Voyager Homecoming #5 by a hair, just like a hair. I really enjoyed that issue. It was so good to see the wrap up of all of those characters. Susan and Tilly Bridges, I think, knocked it out of the park and deserve just a tip of the hat for their story and how they wrapped it up. So much better, with all apologies to Brannon Braga and the creative team behind Voyager. Sorry, you dropped the ball in the final episode, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Susan and Tilly Bridges picked up that ball and carried it over the goal line. I don't know sports, but anyway, they did an amazing job and I love that issue. So it was very close, but that's where I'm giving my nod this month.
Right. That makes absolute sense. I just realized that half of the issues that we read this month were written by women.
That's true. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't really thinking about that until you were talking about it. I'm like, wait a minute. So, yeah, actually, Voyager Homecoming would have been a very, very, very close second. Like, seriously, very, very close, because it was so freaking satisfying and so well done.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just been a good month for Star Trek comics.
This was a great month. Absolutely. Top-notch month for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that brings us to our wrap up, which is going over what's coming out next month, and only 2 issues next month. So a little lighter month for us. And they're stories that we're familiar with. So Star Trek Lower Decks #17 is coming next month, and Star Trek The Last Starship #6. So with Voyager wrapping up and no new series starting that month yet. There's a few coming in the months to follow that we'll talk about, including the Star Trek Starfleet Academy comic that starts not next month, but the month after. And then the month after that, I think or no, a couple months after that, we have a new series by Christopher Cantwell, which is basically Captain 7 of 9 of the Enterprise G, along with a sister comic called Star Trek Zero Point with Captain Rafi Musiker on another starship, kind of working in tandem with them, kind of a la the Star Trek and Star Trek Defiance series from before. So very interesting
nice
stuff coming up.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Well, that's going to be it for us for February. We've gone on a little bit long this episode, but I think it's worth it because these are all great comics. If you've listened to the end without reading these comics, I question your life choices. You've had the bejesus spoiled out of them, but go read them anyway. They're really good.
Really are.
So thank you so much, Brandi, for joining me this week. I really appreciate it.
It's always my pleasure, Dan. You know that.
Awesome. Well, until next time, as always, live long and prosper and stay positive. Positively Trek is produced and edited by me, Dan Gunther, and co-produced by Barry DeFord on Treaty 8 territory, the home of the Beaver, Cree, Dene, and Métis people, whose histories, languages, and cultures we respect. We acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit who have lived in and cared for these lands for generations.
See you